What's this? A new stove from Seek Outside? And this is the first you're hearing of it? How could that be? No, this is a stove that I made based off of Seek Outside. Titanium collapsible backcountry stove. I like making things. I like improving on existing products. I got this one right in front of me, and looking at the construction of it, it looks simple enough to make. So I started looking into what materials to use and how it could be cut, and if things needed to be tack welded or just bent or whatever, and how to build it. And I'm like, man, I think I can do this. So I took just about everything from the Seek stove as far as dimensions and the way they fit together, but I did make some tweaks that you can probably see here in this video easy enough. I guess I'll describe them here first while they're put together, and then I'll break them down and show a little more close-up view of the changes I made and why I made them. As you can see, the stovepipe location is a little different. The stovepipe is a little smaller. This right here is a Seek Outside product that I purchased. This is for their U-turn model, which is a smaller diameter. I believe it's 2.5 inch diameter, where the standard Seek stove is a 3-inch diameter. I don't know if this makes any difference. I think the only reason why they Seek places theirs in the corner is to give a bigger surface to cook on or whatever. I just centered mine. Another thing that is super minor, but you can see they use a wing nut on top. I used a flat, almost like a foot stopper that they use in the bottom. I just purchased those from the hardware store, just to make it makes it better for a pot or whatever to sit on it. The hardware that you see here, I sourced from Seek Outside as well. Something that you don't see would be the braided steel rings for the pipe. I didn't purchase those. Actually, I did purchase a set through Seek Outside, and for whatever reason, I didn't like the actual diameter that they were, so it wouldn't allow me to get a ring down far enough to as far as I wanted it anyway, on the stovepipe in order to have a secure grip on this. I didn't like that. So turns out another company, which I'll list and give credit to later, they had their own 2.5 inch diameter braided wire rings, which were slightly bigger in diameter, which ended up working a lot better. As you can see, this door is much smaller than that door. That was one of the main reasons why I wanted to change my model. Not only is it the size of the door, but it's also the fact that when you open this door, the tolerance on these sliders with the door is large enough that the door wants to fall out. Like, about right there is as far as you can open that without having this be a risk to falling off. And then you got a super hot piece of metal you got to pick up and put back in there. So that leaves a tiny little entry to put your wood in. Where this one, I've made my sliders longer, as you can see, and then made my door physically larger than theirs, which allows it to be opened a lot further to put wood in there easier. I do like their little handles, which help from burning yourself, obviously, but I do plan to have a thin pair of leather gloves with me to just use these tabs that I have here. Also, a stick can be used to move it side by side. As you can see, I am holding these to push these around. It does slide pretty easy, but when there's weight in there from the fire, it gives the rigidity or the stability to be able to move this door without moving the stove. Another way would maybe be to take these feet off of here so that the all thread is sticking into the ground better. That would give more resistance so that you can open and close this better. Another thing you can see from here is the way that this stove breathes compared to mine. The intake for the Seek Outside stove is a clever little design. you just basically adjust the amount of airflow by moving this guy. Because of this location of the intake, it requires this door to be smaller. I wanted to change that. I do believe that the air coming in from the bottom is better, but I found that the air coming in from the side, like I have it here, works plenty well. Obviously this stove hasn't been fired, but I have made 2 other ones. This is the 3rd one I've made. I made 2 others kind of in practice. My buddies bought the material to make them, and I made them for them, just kind of so by the time I was done with theirs, mine would be a little better. But this one's dialed in a little bit better than the previous 2. But I know one of the guys that has been using his regularly and has had good results with it. So now that I've gone through all the different changes, I just wanted to talk about specs, I guess. This stove is, I believe, a 1/4 inch wider and a 1/4 inch taller than this stove. Same depth, 14 inches approximately. The folded down version, or the ready to be thrown in your pack version, this one is roughly 1.5 to 2 inches thick this way when they're stacked together. This one here is about 5/8 of an inch. The biggest difference between these though is the weight. This one here ended up being a full pound less than that one. Now, when I first found that out, I thought I made a math error, because how could this possibly weigh a pound less? Looking into it further, when I was figuring out materials for this one, I swear that I had talked to somebody, or I found information on this stove on the wall thickness of this titanium, and turns out if I did, I got bad information. I thought that this was 0.005 inches thick, and in sourcing flat stock or titanium foil for this stove, I found in a site, they sell a number of different products for making your own stoves like this, and the only foil that they had available was 0.005, which is what I thought was perfect, and same to match this one. Turns out the material of this is twice as thick as this. Now, that has me a bit nervous. This one's holding up good. I mean, this thing's been on countless Western hunts. I couldn't tell you how many times it's been fired. This obviously is going to be more durable than this one, and I'm excited to find out how this material works. This dude hunts a lot more than I do, so I'll probably get more life out of this one anyway, or more years out of it anyway, than he'll get out of his, I'm guessing. But it'll be interesting to see how this holds up, because if this does hold up and does a good job year after year after year, then boy, saving a pound in a backcountry pack, that's a big deal. So I got high hopes that this thing pans out. In the end, if it doesn't work out, I've got the plans, I've got the tooling, I got everything I need to make another one, and I'll just source thicker material, and I know it'll work great. All right, next we're gonna break these down and get them in a pack to show you the difference between the two, and maybe discuss why I made the changes that I made. As you can see, this will get broke down and bundled into Seek Outside's pack. This is the stovepipe for this one. Mine will break down, and everything will either go in here or will be nestled into itself and put into a titanium case. As you can see, this is once broke down, it's a much bigger product. The way I would carry mine would be I'd put this tube in my spotter pouch of my pack, and then this would be placed between my frame and my pack. This would take up a ton of room in your pack, so I believe the way James carries his anyway is he just straps it to the outside of his pack. So the way this pack works is it's got your main bag, and then it's got a frame, and the way I plan on doing this would be I just break my pack off. This would secure this in here on the meat shelf. Which would take up zero room in my pack. So I put the stove itself between the two, and then I just put this in the spotter pouch. Wouldn't even know I had it. I currently So bringing the alternative, I guess, would be to put this on the pack, which I guess you could put in the pack, but then where does all your gear go? But just to show the difference between the two, I believe this is how James carries his. I could be wrong, but I thought he said he just secures it to his pack. Now, this would work just fine, I guess, if you're packing in all your gear to start, setting up a remote camp. Where am I going here? Setting up a remote camp for a few days, spiking out or whatever, but which is what I might end up doing anyway. But what the plan as of right now, I would be to hunt with camp on my back, and just wherever I am for the day is where I am for the day. This is just would it work? For sure, but it's just that much thicker, you know, and bulkier, and maybe it could fall out of there, probably not, but obviously it's not a big deal because the guy that I'm borrowing this from does it like this all the time, I believe, or similar. Doesn't have a problem. But I guess I figured as long as I'm making this, I may as well tweak it in a way that fits me better. Am I saying mine's better than Seek's? No. Seek makes an awesome product. Maybe probably even better than mine, I don't know. But the little changes that I made, I think will really benefit me in the way I want to hunt, I guess. So I'm not here to tell you one product's better than the other. I'm just here to, I guess, show you what I did, and maybe it'll inspire other people to make their own stove. It's definitely doable. I did make a couple purpose, like specific tools to do these bends and to make this product, but you wouldn't really need it. I think the brake that I made is something to make it a little bit better quality and more consistent, where I could easily make a panel. If one of these panels broke or bent or ripped or whatever, wore out, burnt up, I could just go to my templates, draw it out on a piece of titanium foil that I have. It's as simple as cutting it out with scissors or drilling holes with a standard drill, and just throwing it in my brake and bending it up and making a new part for it. So even if this ends up not being as durable as the Seek, given the wall thickness of the material I chose, I can easily make a replacement part for it if needed. But I am eager to see how this thing holds up, that's for sure. I guess in pointing out things that I would change, this is the top panel, as you can see, where the stovepipe comes through. Just for aesthetics and cleanliness, I would have made this the second panel, so that the bottom piece was on top, so you didn't see this hole. But that's about it. Another product that I might make to improve this is I'm thinking about making some really small Kydex corner protectors. And it's not necessarily to protect the corner of the stove, but it's to protect things in my pack from getting ripped, because this stuff is super sharp, and these corners are bent at a really sharp corner, so I could see them cutting things. So I might make little Kydex corners and then connect them with like just bungee, like real small diameter, small gauge bungee, or maybe paracord or something, just to keep it from cutting things up. In wrapping this up, I'd just like to thank everyone for watching, and if you enjoyed it, then do me a favor and like, subscribe, and maybe pass it on to a friend. Thanks again. Take care.